everyone, it's Jennifer from Flux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet the Cozy Shells pillow. This is a beautiful pillow. You can use up some scrap yarn. I've used all the same weight, but as you can see, a bunch of different colors, and we're using a closed shell stitch to kind of show off everything. This is a removable pillow cover, so we are going to be making a long rectangle and seaming it, and that way you can tuck a pillow in, and then seasonally you can pop your pillow off and change it up. This is for a 12-inch by 12-inch pillow form, but later on in the video I will give multiples and instructions if you have a smaller or larger pillow that you need to make a cover for. So let's get started. For this project you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle. A ruler or tape measure is going to be super helpful because we are going to be making a cover for a pillow form, so it will be important to know how big to make it. We're going to be using a 9mm end crochet hook. This is my Furls Candy Shop hook. I'll put the link down below in case you're interested in getting one for yourself. And we're going to be using, as you can see, a bunch of yarn. This is a wonderful scrap yarn project. Now all the yarn you see here is super bulky 6. So if you look at your yarn, if you're looking for kind of like a scrappy project, look at your yarn label and you'll see like a picture of a yarn ball with a number in it. We're looking for super bulky 6-weight yarn. Now the yarn that you see here, some of them are Lion Brand's Wool Ease Thick and Quick. For example, this one here, obviously, this one, this raspberry, this one, and these. And then these two here are some scrappy leftovers of some Lion Brand Hometown yarn. Okay, I'll put all the colors above so you can see those as well. But both of these are a 6 super bulky on the yarn weight scale, and they both recommend the N 9mm hook. So they'll both work great for this project, and it's a great way to kind of mix and match some colors. I chose some shades of blues, grays, and purples because I thought that those all looked really nice together. And just any kind of scrap yarn that you may have laying around, okay? So we're going to be using some super bulky 6 of various colors on that. The last thing that you'll need for this project is a pillow form. Now you can make your own pillow form by sewing 2 squares together and stuffing them, or you can go to the craft store and pick up one of your own. I'm going to be using a 12-inch pillow form, so the cover that I'll be showing you will fit a 12-inch pillow form. However, I will provide multiples of our stitch sequence so you can change the width as necessary, okay? Okay, I have my hook and my yarn, and we're going to start with our starting chain first. Now the multiple of this pattern is 6 plus 1. So all that means is when you're doing your starting chain, you want to go 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 and so forth until you get the width that you need, and then you add a chain onto that, okay? So 6 plus 1 is our multiple. We're going to be doing 31 chains to start, so it's 30 plus 1 because 30 is a multiple of 6 basically. So but if you have a different size pillow form, like again I'm using the 12-inch, if you're doing something bigger like a 16-inch or whatever, you might need to change that a little bit and you want to experiment. Now when you have your pillow, let me grab my pillow so you can see it here. When you have your pillow, you want to make sure your chain is going to kind of go around it a little bit. You don't want it to just stop right at the edges. You want it to sort of go around because your pillow is a little bit poofy, okay? Alright, so let's do our starting chain. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop, and you know what? I'm going to zoom way in so you can see this a little bit better. Okay, so we brought the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your hook, bring up the loop, and tighten. Again, we're going to do 31 chains. So to make a chain, wrap the yarn around the hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31. Okay, so here's our starting chain. You want it to be a little bit stretchy. You want to be able to work into these chains. Now, some of you have asked me about the chains being too tight. You can go up a hook size if you need to loosen them up a little bit, and then go back to the 9mm for the rest of your project. Okay, so what we're going to do now is begin row 1. We're going to stick with the raspberry, but when we move on to row 2, we're going to switch colors. We're going to learn how to do row 2, but we're also going to switch colors. I'm doing a different color for each row. If you want to stick with the same color, make a solid pillow, for example, just, feel free to skip that part. Okay, so let's do row 1. In the 4th chain from the hook, we're going to work 2 double crochets. So let me scoot some of this. I have this giant pile of yarn here, which is great because we're going to use up some scraps. Okay, so this loop here does not count, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 and work our 2 double crochets in that chain. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert the hook into that chain, and bring up a loop. 3 loops are on the hook, yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops, and then we're going to work 1 more in that same chain. Okay, then we're going to skip 2 chains, and in the chain after that, work a single crochet. So to make a single crochet, insert the hook into that chain, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Just like that. Skip 2 chains, and in the chain after that, this time we're going to work 4 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, then we're going to skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the chain after that we're going to work a single crochet. Doing these single crochets in between is what gives our shells a nice rounded appearance. Okay, skip 2 chains, in the chain after that work 4 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that. Skip 2 chains, in the chain after that work a single crochet, skip 2 chains, in the chain after that work a double crochet, 4 double crochet. Sorry about that. 1, 2, 3, our yarn's creeping over. That was 3 and 4. Skip 2 chains, 1, 2, in the chain after that work a single crochet, skip 2 chains, in the chain after that work 4 double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, you should have 3 chains left if you followed the multiple, the 6 plus 1. So we're going to skip 2 chains, and in that very last chain, we're going to finish off by doing a single crochet. Okay? So row 1 is complete. If you use the same starting chain that I did, you should have, well, this is sort of a half shell. It's 2 double crochets, but you should have that first like half shell, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 full shells. Okay. All right, let's move on to row 2, and we're going to switch colors. This is what's going to really make this stitch sequence pop out. You don't have to switch for every single row. You could do like 2 or 3 rows and switch if you would rather do that. I have some small amounts of yarn here that are good for like a row, so that's why I'm going to do that, and I really want to show off this stitch. So what I like to do is just cut the yarn, wrap the yarn around the hook, bring it through, and you can just fasten off, okay? We're going to take care of these ends at the end. They're going to kind of go inside the pillowcase cover. But what I want to do now is grab my second color. I'm going to go for this gray. This is a nice little gray, and it has a nice contrast to this other color, so you can really see everything really well. Okay, row 2 is the only other row we're going to learn, because you're going to be repeating row 2 for the rest of your project. We're going to make a, like I said, a long rectangle, And then in the next part of the video, we're going to learn how to fold it and seam it and make it sort of like an envelope you can slide your pillow into. Those are really handy to have because if you want to change things seasonally or change the decor, you can just pop them out. You don't have to like undo the project. You can reuse them. Okay, so for row 2, what we're going to do is that where we tied off and fastened the yarn, that last stitch you worked, you're going to insert your hook back into that stitch and hook the new yarn on, just like that, and bring the new yarn through, and we're just going to tie it right on there, okay? If you have a preferred way of joining yarn, please feel free to do that instead. I like to just cut it and tie it right on. Okay, so now we're ready to go once again. And I'm going to zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing here. All right, so for row 2, what we're going to do is reinsert our hook back into that stitch where we just tied the yarn on. We're going to bring up a loop, just like that, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn our work, okay? Then what we're going to do is work 2 double crochets into the single crochet from the previous row, okay? So that was this at the end here. Remember we worked a single crochet in the very end? So what you're going to do is work 2 double crochet into that single crochet from the previous row, okay? So you'll see that space right there at the beginning. Okay, so double crochet and a double crochet, just like that, to begin the row, okay? Again, all these tails we'll deal with later. Then we're going to work a single crochet in the center of that first fan, okay? So if you remember, our fans were 4 double crochets. So what we need to do is locate the center of the fan, and we're going to work a single crochet in the center of that fan. Okay, so what I like to do is sort of isolate the fan and then grab the double crochet, the first one and the last one, and then you can see where the center is. All right, so right in the center of that fan, we're going to work a single crochet. So insert the hook into that space in between, right in the middle of the fan, bring up a loop, yarn around hook, bring it through both loops, just like that. Okay? Then what we're going to do is hop over to the single crochet from the previous row, which is right here in between the 2 shells, and we're going to work 4 double crochets right into that single crochet. So 1, 2, 3. Let me get a little bit more yarn. It's kind of pulling on me here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So now we basically know how to finish off the rest of the row. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit because our piece is getting a little bit bigger. Okay, locate the center of the next fan, right in the middle there, work a single crochet, hop to the single crochet from the previous row and work 4 double crochets, all in that one stitch. So 1, 2, get a little bit more yarn, 3, and 4. Just like that, okay? Hop to the next fan, work a single crochet right in the middle. You can kind of isolate that fan, locate the middle. Hop to the next single crochet and work 4 double crochets into that single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Then we're going to go in the center of the next fan. So isolate that fan. There it is. There's the middle. Work your single crochet. And then we're going to go to the next single crochet from the previous row, which is right here, and work your 4 double crochet. 1. Now when you have scraps like this, they can get a little out of hand sometimes, and that's okay. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 3 double crochet, and 4 double crochet. Okay, and to finish the row is super duper easy. We're just going to go in the turning chain space. So you have those double crochets that you did before. We're going to go in that turning chain space. So here's the turning chain, and in between it's a little space. So all we're going to do is work a single crochet in the turning chain space to finish the row. Okay? So I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. We can see rows 1 and 2 are now complete. Now you can kind of straighten out your fans a little bit, but everything will kind of relax a little bit as you keep working. So what you're going to do is keep repeating row 2 over and over and over until your piece is as tall as you need it to be for your particular pillow. Now, even if you're using the 12-inch pillow form like me, you may have a different thickness. I've seen some at the craft store where they're a lot flatter than this one. This one is pretty poofy. So you want to keep going until you have the ability, and I'm going to give you some dimensions in just a minute, but until you have the ability to take your pillow case basically and go around the top and around the bottom with some overlap, because we're going to have this like pocket. Okay, so keep going with row 2, and then when we rejoin, I'm going to have a big rectangle, and I'm going to show you visually what I mean by everything wrapping around the pillow. Okay, so I'm going to keep going, and I'm also going to keep switching colors every row to make this like a full fun spectrum of these muted pinks, purples, blues, and grays. Okay, so keep going with your piece, and we'll rejoin in just a moment for the next part. Okay, so I added a bunch more rows onto my rectangle. So my rectangle came out to be a little over 12 inches wide, which is great because I'm using a 12-inch pillow form. And the length of mine is, if we come down to the end here, all the way down, it's about 28 inches long, okay? So that's going to give us some space to, when we fold this, there's going to be some overlap, so that the pillow will be covered, but there will be an opening to pop the pillow in and out. This is great if you want to switch it seasonally as well. So the next thing we need to do is seam. Now, you can do one of two things here. Oh, and I wanted to mention too, I did a total of 41 rows with the yarn that I used. You may have more or less rows depending on your pillow form, your tension, your yarn that you're using, your hook size, etc. But if you use the exact yarn and everything is me, I did 41 rows on mine. Now, two things. One, you want to pick the side that you want facing out, okay? So I actually had a mid-row color change because I was using some scraps. So I'm going to make this the inside of my pillow form. So the next thing we need to do is seam the sides together. So what you'll want to do is fold it up how you want it. And you can either tuck all these ends in, because see, we have a lot of ends because we did 1 row per color, or you can weave them all in. It's really up to you. But I'm going to show you, I have a little bit of yarn of one of the colors that I use. I'm going to use that to seam. We're going to seam it inside out and then turn it right side out. So pick the side that you want to be the inside and flip that out to the outside temporarily, because we're going to seam it. Now, something else you might want to do, I'm going to grab a couple of clothespins that I have here, because what I need to do is put my pillow back in here, and I need to know exactly where to seam it, okay? I need to know how much overlap I have, okay? I don't want to seam it so that it's like this, and then my pillow doesn't fit. And I don't want to seam it too far apart either, because then you'll have this like gap and your pillow will show. So situate your pillow how you'd like it to be, whatever overlap that you need for your pillow. And then what I'm going to do, you can use stitch markers here as well, but I'm going to take my clothespins, and I always keep like a piece of ribbon with clothespins clipped to it because I use them constantly when I make things. And we're going to take our clothespin and we're going to clip it on this side. So that way we know where we need to seam, okay? So I'm going to pull my pillow out. And again, our pillow cover is inside out right now. So this is going to be the inside of your pillowcase. Okay, So then what we need to do is seam. Now what you can do, like I mentioned before, is you can take a few minutes and weave all these ends in. I would keep to the inside loops of your piece. You don't want it to show on the outside of your pillow. You don't have to do a perfect job at this. You just want to direct the ends to the middle. You don't even have to snip them at this time. You can snip them all back in a minute. But you just want your ends to not be hanging over. If you're able to seam this with these ends in the way, definitely feel free to do that. But I'm just going to sort of send my ends more towards the middle of my square just to get them out of the way so I can really get a good seam on this. Now, if you used all one color, this is not going to be an issue for you. But if you have lots of ends like me, you might want to sort of get your tapestry needle out and get them out of the way. So I'm going to go ahead and sort of clean up these ends, and when we rejoin, we're going to grab our scrap yarn that we have here, our matching scrap yarn, and use that to get these ends seamed up. Okay, now that we have the ends all cleaned up, let's go ahead and seam this side. I'm going to just kind of straighten everything out a little bit. Now I still have to do the other side. We're going to tackle this side and then do the other side next. All right, so I'm going to cut a piece of yarn, I would say about 2 feet long or so. Thread your tapestry needle, leaving a little tail. And then what we're going to do is just start seaming it up, okay? Now, this part here, we will need to be able to put our pillow in, okay? But we are going to seam it all the way across. So I am going to leave the clothespin here just to hold it in place because I need to mark where it needs to go. All right, we're going to do the whip stitch. And again, this is still inside out. We're going to go into both layers of our piece here. And we're going to pull this almost all the way through to begin, leave a little tail, and tie a nice strong knot at the end, okay? So then just hold your sandwich together here, and you're going to just go through both layers and just do a very easy little whip stitch, okay? And we'll take care of this tail later. All right, and we're just going to do this all the way across. Okay, now those first couple of stitches sometimes can sort of wrap around the sides, so just kind of redirect them if you need them to be laying in the right spot. Okay, so I'm just going to seam this all the way across, and then I did want to do this middle part with you just to show you. It's not anything different, but we do need to move the clothespin. So let me just stitch this really quick up the side here. And we don't want our pillow to show through the seam, so try not to spread your stitches too far apart as you seam everything together. You don't want any gaps, and you don't want your pillow to be showing. Okay, so I'm just going to take this clothespin out when we get a little bit closer. And it's going to seem like a lot of layers. You're just going to go through all the layers that you come to. When you have this super bulky yarn, it gets super thick sometimes. Okay, so now we're at the spot, and I'm going to carefully take this clothespin off because I want to keep everything the way it should. Now, for just a few stitches, we're going to be going through 3 layers here, but it'll be just fine. You might need to just sort of wiggle your needle in there a little bit just to get it through all of that bulk. Okay, so just a few stitches will be 3 layers instead of 2. And then make sure that corner there, make sure you pick up that corner with your needle too, because you don't want like that end sticking out or hanging, flopping down or anything. And again, we're still on the inside of this. Okay, so we're coming up to the end, and just going to take it all the way to the end here. Make sure your stitches are nice and neat. And I just used, like I said, a piece of yarn that was one of the colors in my stripes. All right, and then we're at the end. We're just going to go through that very last little spot here. Okay, now pull it almost all the way through, leaving a loop. Send your needle through the loop like that, and you can get a nice knot. Now, while it's still on your needle, go ahead and weave that end in, and that'll be all taken, whoops, that'll be all taken care of. And you can just snip it right then and there. Take care of this end. Now this will all be on the inside of your pillow, but because it is a cover, it's not going to be like a permanent fixture on your pillow that you can take on and off. I do like to make the inside a little bit neat because you will see it as you take it on and off. Okay, before we move forward, I wanted to we're gonna snip this, clip this back together in a minute, but I just wanted to, I like to check my seam before I get too far along in my project because you need to redo anything, now is the time. Okay, so we have, and this will kind of chill out a little bit when you put your pillow in, but we have our opening here and it's ready to receive our pillow, okay? So what you're gonna do next, and also, one thing I didn't point out before, if you have an edge that you prefer, like if you like this pink edge better than this, make sure they're overlapping properly before you sew them. I didn't like the pink edge on the outside because I had the same color right here and it didn't look as nice and neat. I wanted this one on top. So just be mindful of that as you are seaming what you want to show. So we are going to turn this back out, inside out rather. And we're going to line this. You can use these stripes as a guide. See, we're kind of lined up with the pink on this side. So I'm going to get my clothespin back on here. And then what we're going to do is do the same thing on this side. We are going to weave in the ends if you want to. I find it's much easier to seam when the ends are out of the way. But I'm going to weave the ends in, seam up this side, and when we return, we're going to turn it right side out and put our pillow in and see the finished piece. Okay, everything is seamed, ends are woven in, and now we just have to flip it right side out. This is still the inside. So we're going to flip it right side out. And I'm going to grab my pillow because we're going to put it in here. So what I like to do is take one flap, put the whole bottom of the pillow in here like this. Let's get it all the way in there. You can kind of run your hand in here, make sure your corners are sharp. If you do have the odd end, because we had so many rows, you can just give it a little snip. No worries. And then you can take this top portion here and make sure you get your corners sharp and just tuck it in. Now you also want to make sure you get those flaps overlapping. Any little ends you can snip. And our pillow cover looks gorgeous. I'm just loving it. It looks so cozy and ready to go. Okay, so it's all done. You could even display it on this side if you like that textured overlap, or this side if you want to just have a nice smooth continuation. But our pillow looks great. It's cozy. It's got lots of beautiful jewel tone colors, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I can't wait to see all of yours as well. So that is how you crochet the Cozy Shells pillow. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.